So thank you for joining us today. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Liz Burnett. I am the technical lead or manager of Generate and help coordinate with the tech team. Um, Today we will be reviewing the Generate 13.3 release. As you can see here in our agenda, Johnny will go into the specific changes for 13.3. We'll do a quick preview of 14.0, do a quick look at the release calendar, and then, as you all know, we do a survey for each of these. We do use the information that you all share out. So if there's something that you particularly liked or didn't like, or if there's a format that works better for you, we love getting that feedback. We do try and incorporate it into these sessions as we can. So it is important. And again, we really do appreciate it when you do it. We'll give you like a minute or two at the end of the session. I think we have a QR code for that as well. There is, you can see here for 13.3, kind of an open discussion. I do want to call out, though, if you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself at any time during the conversation, or you can always throw stuff in the chat. Taylor and I will be monitoring it. So don't hesitate, like I said, to just, while we will have an open discussion at the end, don't hesitate to, interrupt us during the session. Johnny, I'll let you introduce yourself.
So for those of you that I have not met, my name is Johnny Cunningham. I am a developer for Generate, and I'm also one of the implementers that works directly with states on, installing Generate, building ETL, migrating data, submitting reports. So hopefully we'll be able to talk about this release today. I will preface this one really quickly. If you've been to one of these before, this one is going to be pretty brief because we do not have a lot of changes in this one. 13.2, the last release, was a big one for us. It had a significant set of changes, but it also had the CEDS changes for version 13. So 13.3 is actually pretty small. Very small compared to 13.2, but it's small compared to our normal releases as well. So for IDEA reports specifically, for assessments, the performance files, so 175, 178, 179, we added support for performance levels all the way up to 6 because that was in the code, but we did not have level 6. So I don't even know if any of the states that are working on assessments currently, or maybe you're a state that's thinking about working on assessments. I'm not sure if you even have 6 assessment or performance levels, but Generate now has that support. So that's it for IDEA report changes. For non-IDEA reports, 207 is a new file. It's this is more of a retroactive. 207 was one of the files that was due a few weeks back. It's due with the May submission files. And we did have a couple of states work on it. I believe we had one state submit it, but if you're looking at expanding the set of reports you're working on, or if you're a new state and you're looking at some of the reports you wanted to pick up, 207 is now available in Generate. And like I said, has been vetted by at least one state. I know we had a couple of states work on it in this past cycle. And then for 52, this one is probably more relevant for the release and for the work you're doing right now. We did have an issue with the zero count logic for membership for file 052. So basically what was happening, for context, is if you had a school or an LEA that only offered a subset of grades, so we'll say like, a small district maybe doesn't have a high school, so that district's grades offered would be PK through 8, right? And then when the zero counts get created, it's only supposed to create zero counts for grades that are valid for that district or school. And Generate was actually creating them for all the grades. So in that previous example, Generate was also adding a row for 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, and 12th grade. and it should not have been. So we addressed that fix for 52. You'll have that as you're working on grades, or sorry, as you're working on membership coming up. But that was the only change. Those are the only two changes we had to non-IDEA reports for this release. This is probably, next two slides are probably the more important set of changes. As you're aware, we had a problem starting in 13.1 and it carried into 13.2, unfortunately, with the metadata, the automated metadata process in Generate. For those of you that may not be aware, depending on your role or how long you've been working with Generate, there is a process from within the UI, from within the Generate application, where you can run the metadata. You can select the year that you're working on, whatever school year set of files you're working on, and you can basically get the most current set of metadata for that school year. And what it does is it goes out through an API to EdPass, retrieves all the metadata, all the current metadata that they have published, and then brings that into Generate, distributes it into the appropriate tables within Generate, so that as you're doing your migration work and Generate needs to know, like for a particular file, what category sets are in this file, what levels is this file reported at, things like that. What's the format of the submission file itself once you get to the end and you want to create that file for submission to EdPass. All of that is metadata that we get from EdPass and we use in Generate. So there is that process to automate that. And we had a problem with the EdPass link and it was not functioning. So shortly after 13.2, so we had one or two states that upgraded to 13.2, like right as it became available, they were able to retrieve metadata. And then a couple of days later is when we had the link issue. And so we worked with the EdPass team to get that resolved. In 13.3, there is a new link. They actually had to build a new API to accommodate Generate and what we do. So that process is now built into Generate, but it does require a change to your app settings.json configuration file. And I put a snippet here that for those of you that have had to touch this, you may or may not have, but there's more in this file or more in this configuration file than this set, but this is the set of things that's specific to the metadata. That one line needs to change. So the previous link was the edfax.ed.gov generate. The new link is the one below. And this is all going to be in the release notes. We'll have all of this documented in the release notes, so you'll be able to get this link or get the appropriate link to put in. I left all of those other things. Again, if this is something you've touched before, I didn't want to cause any confusion. I left all of those other variables in there, but I just put the generic text because those are custom state to state. So I didn't want to put something in there that might confuse somebody and you thought you had to change something else in your file. It's basically that one line needs to change. That is the API's URL. And then we did add some small user accessibility updates. We've been working on those over, I don't know now, 4 or 5 versions of Generate. We've been working on user accessibility. So we had a couple of small changes go in as well. And again, like Liz said, if you have any questions about this, I know the file stuff was, pretty basic, but this stuff's not typical in our releases, having to do these sorts of things. So if anybody has any questions, I can't see names, but I see a hand up.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Johnny, this is Jeff.
Oh, hey, Jeff.
So question I have then about the app setting JSON change. Do we have to wait until 13.3 to make that change, or will it work with 13.2?
I believe you should be able to make it in 13.2. I'd have to check with Sumant just to make sure on the development side, because I believe they provided us the production link a couple of days ago or a few days back. We've been testing it. So yeah, I think you could probably change it now. and it would work. The only thing I have to do is I need to check with Sumav to make sure nothing in the back end code changed for like how the API is called from the back end or something beyond just the configuration variables, but I'll verify that and let you know.
Yeah, I won't do anything yet, but just curious. Thanks.
Yeah, I'll find out. Good question, because I hadn't thought about that. I'll ask him. Any others? I only see one page. If somebody's hand pops up or something, I might not see that. Plus, I'm not good at multitasking, Liz knows. Okay, so general changes. We updated .NET to version 10, which is the most recent version of .NET for this release. And I went ahead and put Angular on here, but I want to differentiate between those two. So .NET, you will have to upgrade the .NET version on your server. We've got a link in the release notes that'll take you to that page, and you can just download it. The install takes, less than a minute to upgrade. But you will need to upgrade .NET to version 10 before running the upgrade. And then because it's going to update the web application and then the database, and the web application is going to be expecting .NET version 10 to be in place. I went ahead and put Angular on here. We were a couple of versions behind on Angular, but I do want to clarify, there's nothing you have to do for this. This is built into Generate. But I did want to let you know we've upgraded to the most current version of Angular, so we've got that code in as well. .NET, you will need to do an upgrade. So if you're one of the shops where you're doing everything, you'll need to do a .NET upgrade, or maybe coordinate with your IT team about getting the .NET upgraded on the Generate server before you run the upgrade for 13.3. Any questions about that? Hopefully I didn't make that confusing. Okay. So that's really it for 13.3. Like I said, it is a really, well, okay. I mean, upgrading .NET for us is big because obviously we get to the most recent version. We get all the improvements with that, bug fixes, security updates, all of that with .NET 10, and Angular as well. But as far as like changes that are going to impact your daily work, there were very few in this release. So previewing 14, I do want to make everybody aware we've got the release calendar, like I think in the next slide or whatever. But for those of you that are familiar with the cycle, that have been with us for a little bit, we would typically have the one release in the summer, which was our numbered release, this one, right? So we're going from 13 dot whatever to 14.0. That would typically release like at the end of summer. It did not directly support any files because we had another release that would come out in like October timeframe. And then that supported the January files. And then we had another release that came out in like November that supported the February files, and so on. That's how we had the cycle going. Listening to feedback from states, and also obviously it helps us with our development cycle as well. We collapsed the numbered release that came out in the summer that didn't support any files directly, and that first release into one. So Generate 14.0 is actually going to support the January files now. It's going to come out a little later than we would typically, because we would typically release like in the end of August in the previous years, in the previous cycle. This one's going to come out a little bit later. It's going to directly support the January files, plus have all of the development work that we're able to accomplish over the summer. But I do want to make that distinction for those of you that are kind of familiar with the way our releases have worked. So this one, that's the reason the file updates. This one is going to support the January files, so assessments and any of the other files due in January. We are continuing to do user accessibility improvements, so we'll be adding those in as well. We have the validation rule logic. We're going to basically go through that, make sure all of the existing rules are accurate. They're all doing what they're expected to do. They've been updated with any changes to file specification logic or anything that we've made recently. And then we have a small group of additional rules that we're going to add coming out. So we're going to refine that and clean it up and make sure that it's working efficiently. And I do want to say a shout out to this group and maybe to some folks that don't attend this, but that contributed. Our work directly with states is what's contributing to these rules, right? So like myself, when I work with the states that I'm with, or Gina or Ruth, Sumant, any of the folks that are working directly with states, when we're doing that work is where states will say, hey, it would be really great if it could check this for us, or we always run into this problem. Can it check this? And so we've accumulated some additional validation rules we're going to add. And then tool enhancements. We probably will have more than this, but the ones that we at least have slated already, because we have to do some additional work on what we can get into 14. So there'll probably be more than we've got listed here. But we're going to add some additional views that are going to help with validation. We have the staging and fact table views if you're like someone that's been with us a little while and you've had a chance to use those, if you're not brand new. Or if you're not somebody who's in that part of the work, you may not be familiar with these. But we have like views that show you your staging data and break that down for you. And we have views that show you the fact table data and break that down. We've got some additional views that we're adding that are going to help with validation. And then we also have the ETL documentation templates. If you're familiar with those or if you've used those, they used to be referred to as ETL checklists. If that name is new to you, those are basically like the mappings for a particular file specification. So if we take child count, for example, it has a space. It's a spreadsheet. It's an Excel document. It has space on the left for you to put all of your source information. So where each of those data elements lives in your source system. It has the CEDS data that's related to that element. And then it has, through the generate product, where that value gets moved to. So from your source system, where does it go in staging? And then from staging, where does it go in the fact and dimension tables? And then from there, where does it go in the final report table? So you can see the lineage of every data element that's used to support a file specification. Okay. As I mentioned, those are spreadsheets. We have those out there. Some significant work was done by folks on the team and folks on the CEDS team, not me. So we really appreciate the work they did to basically take all of that information and pull it into a table that exists in Generate. We've had it out there for a couple of versions of Generate now. There is a table out there that basically has all of that spreadsheet data, loaded. There's a handful of file specifications that are not in there yet, so we're going to work on getting those in. And then we're also going to build some views against that so that you can see, like, what do I need in staging for a particular file, or what CEDS elements make up this particular file, or, I want to see this one data element, where does it exist in the different places? Those views will let you look, because there's a lot of data if you've opened one of those ETL checklists or ETL documentation templates, their current name. If you open one of those, there's a lot of data in there. So we're hoping these views, with that same data now stored in a table, these views are going to let you target like specific things that you might need, make that a little easier to access. Plus, it'll make it a lot easier to update and maintain going forward, like as things change, as file specifications change, requirements for a file change, any of those sorts of things. So we're going to build out some additional views to help with that table. I think that's it for the preview of 14 so far. Like I said, we're going to have internal meetings on all the work that we have and what we can fit in and what makes the most sense and what states want. So there will probably be things beyond those 4 bullets, but I just don't know what those are yet. This is the release calendar that I was just referring to. So we're about to release 13.3. That's the one, obviously, for May 2026, supports child count and the other files in July. And then we're planning for October to release 14.0. This is the one I said like we would typically release in August or so. It's going to release in October now. It's going to support the January files. And then we'll have a release in November that supports the February files. And then, of course, beyond that, we'll have a release to support directory in May, and then child count and membership again in July. This is the evaluation, the survey that Liz mentioned at the beginning. It's only a handful of questions. We really do appreciate it because this, if you've been with us for a little while, you know this meeting has evolved over time, and that's how it has evolved. Is based on your responses, things that you liked, things that you didn't like, you'd like to see tweaked. Like Liz said, format. So if you can, take a couple minutes to answer the questions. Any suggestions you have or anything that would make this more useful for you, we really appreciate. And I think Taylor or I think Judy just added it to the chat as well. So we really appreciate it if you take the time to fill it out. And while you are, because I'm assuming you've all now QR'd it or clicked that link, it's open discussion. So if you have questions about this release, we can talk about those. And I'd like to answer those first if somebody has any questions about 13.3. And then beyond that, if you just have general questions, since we have the time together, I can try to answer just generate questions or other questions or concerns you might have as well while you're filling the survey out.
Hey, Johnny, quick question.
Yes.
Quick question about 13.3 and the .NET upgrade. Do you see any problems upgrading to .NET 10 like now before 13.3 is ready, or is 13.3 can 13.2 work with the .NET upgrade? I guess where I'm going.
That's one I would not do because I don't know what changes we had to make to accommodate. So, but 13.2 was not built on .NET 10. So if you upgrade to 10, I don't know if that would potentially cause problems. So that one I would hold off on.
Yeah. Okay. Just trying to coordinate what the release schedule will look like with, with the group. So, okay, thanks.
Yep. And really quickly, because we're talking in general terms too. We do the office hours prior to the release because, again, from previous survey results, people like to preferred. We used to do it a little bit after, and then most of the people participating preferred it before so they could kind of prepare for. So again, this comes prior to the release. We're finishing up, like we finished up our QA. I think we've got one or two things left to do. Then we've got a package and, we test the release internally and then we do a soft launch. So it's probably going to be a week or so before the release is actually available. So Jeff, and for anybody else, for planning purposes, it should be available in about a week. But obviously, we send messages out and communicate in all the different forums, so you'll know when it comes out.
Yeah, thanks.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else? Anything generate? And I'm going to hang out until everybody's finished. So if you're done, I mean, we're officially done with the office hours. Like I said, this one was going to be really short, but I can hang out if you prefer to ask a question directly. Thank you all very much for attending. Appreciate it.
Hi, Johnny. I have a question about our sequence of updating.
Yes.
So, I think you've been communicating with someone on our team. Something happened trying to get from 13.1 to 13.2. So we still need to make that happened first, right? And
Right.
then it goes get it updated to 13.2, then it's the .NET thing, and then 13.3, or what's
Yes.
that sequence? Okay,
Yes. So we'll
okay.
figure out what's going on with 13.2 with you, because I reached out to, and I apologize, I don't have his name in front of me. I think your IT person that I've been communicating with.
Yeah, Sanjana, I think she's out today.
Oh, okay. Yes, that's
I think.
what I was about to say. I sent an email saying, "Hey, I can meet." I had a couple of gaps, and
Yeah, I haven't
I
seen
got
her
the
on
auto
the chat.
response that she wasn't in today.
Yes.
So I'm going to try to connect with her tomorrow because I really want to get that resolved for you, so you can get on to 13.2. You saw from the update today, like you could start working on child count membership. The only that one little zero count issue with membership is the only thing that would impact like the submission file. But so once we can get you on 13.2, you can start working on child count because the 13.3 is not going to significantly change anything other than that one membership thing. So
Okay, great. But then the 13.3, you said, I mean, we're just like a week or two out from that one anyways, right?
yes.
Okay. Okay, great. And so IT will receive the update about the .NET and the 13.3 as well, right? So they'll know how to
I'm
do those
not sure
things.
who's on your, like, I don't control that, so I apologize, but I'm not sure
Okay.
who's on the email list that gets it. So I can't say IT is going to get it, but all of the people that in your state, so I'm assuming you're on there and there's whoever else is on there will get that email saying that 13.3 is now available. And it'll have a link in it with the release notes, and the release notes is going to describe the updating to .NET first before, and it has the link in there to the Microsoft page for that download and everything. So yeah, it's
Madison,
really
is
easy
there,
to do, but I know some of you don't have permissions to do it. You have to have someone else, like someone from IT, do it. Yeah.
Madison, is there someone specific that you would like us to just confirm is on that list?
It's probably Sanjana, but I think she already gets all that communication, so it's probably good. I just wanted to double check.
Okay.
Thank you.
So a few people hanging out. Do you have questions? Or I bored you to sleep? One of the two. And if somebody's asking, I don't see anybody that's off mute other than Jeff.
Oh, hey, I just want to say thank you, Johnny. I've got to jump off here, but really good information. Looking forward to 13.3.
Thank you, Jeff. And I appreciate all the work you did to get the issues resolved up there. So we're on the current version and everything. So
Yeah, it's all
thank you.
working great. Thank you for your help. So thanks all. Bye.
Thanks, Madison.